You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
It's a big world out there, and you're just looking for a pat on the back or head. You run around the city, searching for a place to bark, working your tail off with your nose to the ground, sniffing for a few scraps, hoping someone will throw you a bone. You take each lead, collar after collar, hoping one day to take a bite out of success and become the top dog. Fortunately, you come home each day to open arms, open cans, a drink waiting for you, and a comfortable place in front of the TV set. You know you've got it good, really good, because after all, it's a doggy dog world out there. Pet Life Radio presents It's a Doggy Dog World with your host, pet expert, and award-winning author Liz Palaika, and this week's co-hosts Kate Abbott and Petra Burke.
Hi, welcome to It's a Doggy Dog World. I'm Liz Palaika, and with me today are Kate Abbott.
How do?
And Petra Burke.
Hello.
And one of Kindred Spirits trainers, Melissa Duffy.
Hello.
And today we're talking about pet first aid. Here at Kindred Spirits, we teach the American Red Cross pet first aid course, and Kate and I, both being former vet techs, we take first aid pretty seriously. So we figured we'd devote this podcast to the subject, talking a little bit about the emergency first aid course and some of the things that you can do as first aid practices for your dog. So hold on, take a listen to our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Sit. Stay. It's a Doggy Dog World. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
Love your pets but wish their medications were a lot less expensive? They are at 1-800-PET-MEDS. You'll not only save on flea and heartworm medications, but on prescriptions for arthritis, incontinence, thyroid, and more. And you get fast service, free shipping, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Plus, our licensed pharmacists ensure accuracy, monitor drug interaction, and more. See why over 5 million people have trusted their pet's health to 1-800-PET-MEDS, America's largest pet pharmacy. Call now or order online.
Go to petmeds.com/world, WORLD, to get 10% off any order and free shipping on orders of $39 or more at petmeds.com.
The world has changed. 1 in 5 relationships now begin on an online dating site. And while you never know where things will lead, Match.com has led to more dates, more relationships, and more marriages than any other site. Join today.
Pet Life Radio listeners get 25% off the price of a membership. Just go to mevio.match.com and enter the code DOGGY, DOGGY. That's MEVIO.MATCH.com and enter the code DOGGY to get 25% off Match.com.
Homeowners, did you know a burglar could break into your home and get away in just 5 minutes? A locked door may not be enough to keep a thief out of your home. Think about what you can lose, and then think about this. Now you can get a free security system monitored by ADT, the leader in home security. Pick up your phone now and get free hardware, free medical and fire alert, and free activation. It's an $850 value. Just call Protect Your Home, your authorized ADT dealer, at 1-800-866-5784. You'll get 24-hour protection, and there's no cost for parts or activation. So call now about a free security system monitored by ADT. Call 1-800-866-5784. $99 installation charge. 36-month monitoring agreement at $35.99 a month. Call for terms and conditions to this offer and protect your home license numbers. Call now. 1-800-866-5784. That's 1-800-866-5784.
This year, Americans are expected to spend a jaw-dropping $36 billion on their pets. From lighted leashes to high-end spa products, the discriminating pet owner can find just about anything to pamper his or her pet. Hi, this is Michelle Fern. Join me every week for Best Bets for Pets, where we'll talk about the latest pet products and talk to the companies that make them. Best Bets for Pets, every week, only on PetLifeRadio.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com. We know you're begging for more. So back to It's a Doggy Dog World with your fetching hosts, Liz Palika, and this week's co-hosts, Kate Abbott and Petra Burke.
Welcome back to It's a Doggy Dog World. We're talking about pet first aid, specifically dog first aid. Kindred Spirits does teach the American Red Cross Emergency Pet First Aid course. Quite a mouthful. So, Kate, why don't you talk about that since you've been teaching the last few?
Well, I highly recommend it for all pet owners. There's so much that you can do if you know what to do that will help reduce your pet's pain and possible permanent injury if you can do it quickly. And might save you on vet bills too when you get there.
Or potentially save a life.
Save a life. Petra faced that with her little Pomeranian.
Oh, Keely. Thank you to a Starbucks straw. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, mouth to mouth and all that good stuff.
Well, Petra and her family and Keely were attacked by Africanized bees. Everybody got stung, I think.
Yeah.
And poor Keely went into shock and stopped breathing.
I now know what my Stephen King horror is. It is the Africanized, quote, killer bees that are moving into, so they're here. They're here in Southern California now.
Yeah. Well, I had it in my backyard.
Didn't the guy who come out to take care of them tell you that almost all of the honeybees now are Africanized to some extent?
Yep, in Southern California.
That's pretty scary.
They're a very different critter. They sting a whole lot more than the European honeybee we've been used to. Mm-hmm. And for a little one like your Pomeranian, the bees get caught in the fur, they stay there, they sting till they die, and it doesn't take a whole lot. And it put her into anaphylactic shock.
I mean, to see her, she just flopped over and then immediately stopped breathing, and it was literally chest compressions and breathing through her nose and
putting a Starbucks
straw to intubate her so you can breathe through a straw, and actually put one of those Benadryl strips so it dissolved and get into her system faster, and brought her back.
If the throat closed up, you wouldn't have been able to get a pill down her.
No, No. By the time we got to the vet, and granted it was like 10 minutes, she was sitting in my lap, breathing on her own.
Now, intubating with or without a Starbucks straw is not something that's taught in the first aid kit.
No.
But the other aspects of it, they all gave you confidence to try.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And now, unfortunately, poor dog, anytime there's a fly or anything, she just freaks out. So, don't blame her.
But some of the topics are, first of all, knowing what is normal for your dog. What's a normal temperature? What's a normal heart rate? What's a normal respiration?
And just their personality. And you something was wrong with Keely. After the bees hit, just watching like, she's not acting right. Mm-hmm. So know what's right and wrong with your dog's mannerism, their personality. That was the first clue.
If you're concerned that a dog has heat stroke and you take its temperature, how do you know if that's normal or abnormal if you don't know what normal is?
Well, normal's between 101 to 102. Mm-hmm. So. Now, stress can make it go a little higher, but anything over 102.5 is something to pay attention to. Anything lower than 101 should be paid attention to.
So know what's normal so that you can then diagnose as much as possible and then start the first treatment while you're hopefully able on your way to get to emergency help.
Mm-hmm. Which brings up, know your veterinarian's phone number. And if your veterinarian doesn't do after-hours calls or he refers emergency calls after hours, know where he refers them. Petra had a case of that, too, when she went to bring her old dog to emergency and the emergency clinic had moved.
Yeah. Thank goodness he wasn't in a life-threatening condition, but there's something wrong with him. But
it still took you an extra 20 minutes to get there.
Yeah. And I called and told them I was on my way, but they didn't tell me they moved. Yeah. So I don't know how long they moved, but I just went to the old clinic and, sorry, we moved, sign was out. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, shoot, where is it? And thank goodness for GPS on cell phones these days.
Yeah.
And then I got there fairly quickly, but know where they are. Make sure your phone numbers are accurate and you have the current address.
Yeah.
And if you'd been in respiratory distress, having trouble breathing or choking or that could have been a difference.
Yes, definitely.
So know where to go.
Yep.
The contact information.
Have a good up-to-date first aid kit. And we talked about this in another podcast when we talked about disaster preparedness. but have a good first aid kit and know how to use it. And the first aid course will also teach you about many of those things too. But know how to use it.
What was nice when we mentioned I had to take my older Aussie to the vet is he, for whatever reason, couldn't walk or hold himself in any type of upright position. So my daughter and I took a blanket and used it as a sling and rolled him onto it, and we're able to, each of us on one end, were able to hold him that way, and got him into the car like a stretcher. Yeah,
Super. And those are the kinds of things that are covered in a good class. Learning to do CPR. We actually have one of the dummies, dog dummies.
Dobie.
We call him Dobie the dead dog because he looks like he's been run over by a steamroller. He's kind of flat. He's a very sad-looking dog dummy.
CPR dog dummy.
And after everybody gets over giggling and they actually start trying to practice and then feeling the breath make the chest rise, there's a lot of nods of like, oh, okay, I get it now. Because it may take a couple of times to get the technique right. And better to try it on a dummy dog.
Never try to do CPR on a live dog who is breathing and whose heart is functioning.
Yeah.
Extra asterisk if he's in pain.
Yes, then you'll get bit.
So
but
knowing how to put on an emergency muzzle.
The first step in CPR, whether it be for dog, cat, or person, is check to see if the creature, person, animal is breathing and has a heartbeat. If he's breathing and has a heartbeat, don't do CPR.
Right. They don't need it, and it'll just annoy them.
Yeah, definitely.
ABCs. Probably one of the more common, other than there's household accidents, getting into poisons, chewing on electrical cords. You know, there are things.
Well,
that
let's talk about poisons, because I had a bad run-in with that last fall.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of this podcast, Kate talked about knowing what's normal, and that's how we knew something was wrong with Archer, our 3-year-old Aussie. He was not acting right, and the symptoms came on relatively slowly. He just seemed a little off, and then he just seemed like his balance wasn't good. But over about 24 to 36 hours, it got significantly worse, and finally one day he jumped off the bed and did the splits with his back legs. And we realized that, wait a minute, something was really wrong. And then he went downhill very, very quickly. And it turned out, through much investigation and blood work and tests, that he'd gotten hold of a poisoned gopher. We didn't poison gophers, so he got hold of, it's called secondary poisoning, a gopher that had been poisoned. And he was a very, very sick dog. We almost lost him. But the initial symptoms were he just was off. He just wasn't right. So paying attention to what's normal and any changes is...
He barely made it as it was, and if you had waited until he was definitely sick...
We'd have lost him for sure. Definitely. We'd have lost him. But yeah, there was a point where we didn't think he was going to make it. I was in the vet's office sobbing on the poor dog's head. But, yeah, so paying attention to what's normal.
Yep, exactly. I remember with the emergency with Kona, he didn't come at the gate like he does every single day when I get home. And right away it was like, oh, that's not right. When he does it, 99.9% of the time, and the one day he's not there, I knew something was wrong, and he couldn't get up.
And so you knew something was wrong, you knew how to check him, you knew how to transport him.
Exactly.
The only thing she didn't know was where emergency was.
Yeah, that was the only problem. Yeah. Now I do.
And you shared that knowledge with all of us, so we won't make that same mistake. That's a good point.
Now, another thing that people run into a lot is bleeding. When is bleeding something that you can handle at home, and when is it an emergency?
No, I don't know, like when my pup broke his jaw.
Boy, you've had most of the emergencies, haven't you?
Yeah. Hey, Kate, next time I'll teach the first aid class for you.
I bet. We don't need no stinking book.
No. But again, unfortunately, it was a little miscommunication between my German Shepherd and the puppy. And I remember it happened quickly and blood everywhere from my mouth. And it's like, okay, first hold the puppy still to figure out where the bleeding's coming from. And then realize just a little tip of his jaw was was broken and
crooked.
Things were not where they were supposed to be.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. So it was, okay, settle me down, take a deep breath, settle the puppy down, and basically just took something, just left his nose so it can breathe.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah. And so kitchen towel, just held it there to stop some of the bleeding and rushed him to the emergency vet, because I knew where the emergency vet was at this time.
I think Petra's had a few paychecks go to the emergency vet clinic.
Yeah.
Especially with dogs, you want to know how to restrain them safely for them and safely for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Whether that means muzzle wrapping or doing something else. So you won't be able to help them a whole lot if you're also having to bandage yourself.
Yep. Well, I think we need to take a break for our sponsors, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Sit. Stay. It's a doggy dog world. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
We really love pets. There isn't anything we won't do to make sure they're getting the best products and the best care. So when you ask us a question like,
so how do you feel about cat condos?
We can say from experience,
Feels like home. For her.
Enter the code DOGGY, DOGGY, and save 10% on orders of $65 or more, plus free shipping at petco.com.
FTD's network of over 40,000 florists around the world have been creating beautiful handcrafted arrangements for 100 years. Each arrangement is delivered the same day and backed by FTD's 7-day satisfaction guarantee. For a century, people have trusted their most important occasions to the flower experts at FTD.
Since Pet Life Radio is all about puppy dogs and flowers, our listeners, that's you, can get a 20% discount on your order. Just go to fluorop.com and use the code DOGGYDOG at checkout. FLEUROP.com. Code word DOGGYDOG.
How would you like your business to reach out and invite in our audience? We have a brand new trademark concept called InfoSeeds. InfoSeeds are short 20-second seeds of information about your place of business, practice, or service. Is the best, most cost-effective way to invite us in. We only have a limited number of slots left. For more information, visit the website
PetLifeRadio.com.
Click on sponsorship information. There you can listen to a sample of InfoSeed. Remember, only a limited number of opportunities are available.
Got questions about your hound's health? Need the facts on Fido's fitness or food? You want to unleash your pup's potential? Well, you've come to the right place with Win with Dogs. Here, we learn how easy it is to naturally improve the lives of our furry friends. So sit, stay, and get ready to win with dogs. With me, Raquel Wynn. Exercise, nutrition, interaction, and love make for one healthy, happy hound. Give yourself the gift of knowledge, on demand, every week, right here at Pet Life Radio with me, Raquel Wynn, and Win with Dogs.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com. We know you're begging for more. So back to It's a Doggy Dog World with your fetching hosts, Liz Palika, and this week's co-hosts, Kate Abbott and Petra Burke.
Welcome back to It's a Doggy Dog World. We're talking about emergency pet first aid, and we left off with bleeding, which is a common one. Now, cuts, scrapes, wounds. Usually those are just oozing type bleeding. As a general rule, find out where the bleeding's coming from, take a look at the wound, put a thick gauze pad on it, or as Petra and Kate brought up, perhaps a sanitary napkin if it's bleeding a lot.
Yep. And it's important.
They didn't answer me if it should be the ones with wings or not, but
I don't think you really need the wings.
No.
I think just regular stuff.
Yeah.
It'd be fine.
Just get in the way.
But put something on the wound and put pressure on it.
Yeah.
And see whether it stops and clots on its own. If the bleeding is in spurts, that's obviously a danger sign.
Yeah.
And you need to get the dog to the veterinary clinic as quickly as possible and call them and let them know you're coming in. But still put pressure on the wound, but just don't expect that to stop on its own. Your pet needs help.
You know, I'm thinking you're right, because Benji, the little Pom, got injured too. Remember, he had a little bite on the top of his head, under his thing, and had his little back tooth torn out. It was also a mouth injury. Yep, no problem. Teach it next time for you, Kate.
Okay.
Yep.
So we've talked about breathing. We've talked about CPR, not to do it on a dog who's breathing and has a heartbeat.
How do you find a heartbeat on a dog?
Oh, there you go.
So knowing how to do that, something taught on the course, but being able to find a heartbeat in various places, because if you only know one place, that might be an injury place.
Well, one of the easiest places is inside the top of the thigh.
Yes, I'm checking my dog right now. He does have a heartbeat.
Oh, well, that's good, since he looks like a dead dog in your lap.
He's very relaxed and socialized. And having a feel for what's a normal heartbeat. Oh, and having a book along with your first aid kit, because you need to know what medications are safe for humans and which are safe for dogs. They're not always the same thing.
Right.
And for those of you who have dogs and cats, if it's safe for a dog, do not assume it's good for a cat. Cats are very, very sensitive to many things that dogs can have safely. Cats are a whole nother subject.
I mean, one of the ones I keep just separate from mine is just like a aspirin. Just aspirin for the dogs. And then mine's anything like a Aleve or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Different.
And don't give any of those to a cat.
No.
So there's a lot of stuff. When you set up your first aid kit, make sure you label. If you want to put in something that's human specific or should not be given to dogs, mark it. Mark it on the label.
Because when you're in an emergency situation, you're not thinking straight at times. You want to be able to grab and know what it is right away.
Make it very
Who's
clear.
it for?
Obviously, bandages work either way, but even there, you may not want to grab for the stuff that's going to get hair. You want to put some gauze or something on first, and then use the adhesive.
Right. Not tape and then try.
It's real hard to put a Band-Aid on a dog.
Yeah, just a bit.
It's just,
Unless you've got a Mexican hairless.
Yeah.
Chinese crested. Not you, Walter.
No, a little fuzzy boy here.
And then do you know how to muzzle your dog if he's in pain?
I can remember as a vet tech being called out on Adobe, hit by a car.
Yeah.
And pinned under the car. His leg had gotten enmeshed in the something under there. I wasn't even paying attention to that. But trying to work on this Dobie under the car. And he's in pain. And they're still moving that car around. And, first thing I had to do was crawl under there and get a muzzle on him.
Yeah, because you can't do anything.
Get an IV, and then we had to have, grabbing people from the sidewalk. You, come over here, hold this IV back up, while we continued to work on him. So, but nobody could have helped him or gotten near him.
Unless he was muzzled.
First.
Yeah.
Before the emergency takes place, get your dog used to being handled.
Oh, definitely.
That comes back to socialization and training, which is one of our big deals. But do it.
Yeah.
A dog who is at least comfortable and relaxed about being handled when he's not in pain. There's no guarantee when he's in pain that he's still going to be relaxed and comfortable.
Well,
but he's a lot more on his way.
And every dog, any dog, has the potential of biting when they're scared and in pain. If they're hurt or sick or injured, any dog can bite. Heck, a lot of people bite when they're in the
I've been known to do it too.
Yep, exactly.
But if they're not as stressed about being handled,
right,
then they're not going to be as hard to treat in an emergency too. Stress is harder to treat.
Right.
Makes the heart pound even harder, and if they've got any wound problems, then you don't have as much time to deal with it.
And for our listeners, it's too bad this is internet radio, a podcast, and not TV, because Kate's dog Walter is in her arms, on his back, like a baby, totally relaxed while she scratches his chest. And he just really, really has such a hard life.
All four legs laid out.
And of course, Melissa's 10-year-old rat terrier, Dinky, is curled up in a blanket, half under her coat. While head buried. While Petra and I are mean moms, and our dogs are on the floor.
On the linoleum cold floor.
Not Cisco.
Oh, dear. So what else does the American Red Cross Emergency Pet First Aid class cover?
Eye injuries are quite common with pups, with dogs. Sticking their heads through branches, out the window.
True.
Flying objects.
Or just playing around the yard like mine.
Just playing with each other.
We just did a quick saline rinse and we were good. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Burrs and foxtails, they're sort of half grooming and half first aid, but if you don't groom and check well for foxtails and burrs and cockle burrs and corkscrews...
Well, hey, I'm good at that one too.
I was just going to say, Petra has experience with that too. She has a dog who groomed himself and ate them, and they got stuck in his jaws.
Yeah. So he's such a good boy. I can now just open and try to pull him out and clean him up.
Is he still getting them in there?
I haven't checked recently.
Oh,
yeah, I looked at him today. I better check you now that the foxtails are out and about again. Yeah, but again, I check all of them. Aussies, and they're coated, and just check because those little buggers can get into the skin. I mean, and then the German Shepherd would between the toes. They get between the toes and into the... Yeah.
So some preventative first aid is doing some thorough grooming, because if any of those things get under the skin, then they're a mess.
Exactly.
And you've been there too.
Yeah, I've been there too.
Abscesses are no fun.
And then what else?
Let's see. Well, this thing that's very collapsed in my lap is the first dog I've ever had that ever got skunked.
Oh, skunks.
Thank goodness. No experience there.
Knock on wood. I would knock on the plastic. Yeah, knock on the real wood.
In my own backyard, he got skunked at midnight, the night before he was supposed to do a special presentation at the children's library.
Oh, of course it would be midnight.
Of course. But he was able to, the show did go on the next day, grabbing for, you need a detergent, you need an acid, and then, so what I grabbed for was soap detergent, the dishwashing soap. Dishwashing soap to cut the oil.
Okay.
You need an acid to counteract the smell. White vinegar was what I grabbed.
Okay.
Didn't have any tomato juice around, but that's also just an acid. And then baking soda makes it all foam up nicely so it gets down into the pores. So
quite a chemical.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was sponging on this little foaming bath thing on him and letting it sit and doing it on the deck too, where he was rubbing on the deck as I was getting everything
to get
ready.
The smell out of there.
So yeah. So we were sloshing it on the deck on him, sloshing on the deck on him. It did take 2 or 3 applications out there at midnight. But by the next day, you could still smell it if you put your nose next to his skin. But from a distance of 6 inches, he was tolerable.
So we're calling you. If it happens to me, I'm calling you, Kate.
Yeah. I mean, it happened to one of Deb's dogs, and her husband, just without thinking, just threw the dog in the swimming pool. Which might have been a nice idea, but it didn't work.
No, of course
It wasn't
not.
enough to cut all the oil and stink.
Funny.
I hadn't asked him what happened to his pool filter either.
Oh, I'm sure they had to replace it.
Oh, yeah. That way. But I'm thinking also in other parts of the country back east. When we lived back east, we often our dogs would run up with possums.
Oh, sure.
Skunks, porcupines. Oh, those are
well, let's talk about venomous critters. We've got snakes, spiders, scorpions, ticks. They're not venomous, but they can carry disease. If your pet gets bit or stung, what do? First thing, try to identify what it is. Oh, many snakes will bite, but not as many are venomous.
Right.
You know, if your pet gets bit by a gopher snake, it's no big deal. Just clean the bite wound and make sure it doesn't get infected. Of course, if it gets bit by a rattlesnake, that's something totally different.
Copperhead.
Or a copperhead.
The nice thing about rattlesnakes is they do try to warn you.
Yes. Now, not all dogs are smart enough to leave them alone.
So then there's training.
And if the trainer in your area does a rattlesnake avoidance training, do it.
Oh, worth it.
Do it. Yeah. But if at all possible, identify the critter that did the biting or the stinging so you can tell your veterinarian. Spiders, black widows, brown recluse, both of those could potentially kill a dog. Bigger dogs are more apt to survive, but if you've got a very small dog, a brown recluse could kill the dog. So it's important to recognize it right away if you've squashed the spider, take a good look before you squash him.
Or squash him just enough where he's dead and then bring it with
you. You can still identify him. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, not all black widows are black. Black widows can be...
I think they're brownish colored,
too. The typical is black with a red hourglass on the abdomen, but he can also just, or she can just have a red dot or red spots. There's also brown black widows.
Yeah.
And the males are much smaller, and they can have a white or a yellow spot, not the red hourglass. So, just did some research on those for a writing project. Yeah. So, surprised me. I thought black widows were black with a red hourglass, but apparently there's varieties.
Nice.
Yeah. Scorpions. There are lots and lots and lots of different types of scorpions, mostly in the warmer climates. Here in Southern California, we've got them. But they're actually found all over the world, everywhere except the far north and Antarctica. They sting. They have that long tail that comes around and stings. All of them have some venom, but not all of them are deadly. But again, the smaller the dog, the more danger there is. So if your dog gets stung by a scorpion, catch the booger so that your veterinarian knows exactly what he's dealing with and get him to the vet right away.
Every area has their own dangers. Know what they are. Mm-hmm. And know what you're going to do about it.
Exactly.
If you or your pets run into one of those things.
Mosquitoes can carry heartworm. Ticks can carry a variety of diseases, including Lyme disease. If you can use a safe insecticide or pesticide, here at the Kindred Spirits Training Yard, we use a lot of lavender because you spray some lavender on yourself and your dog, and that repels mosquitoes. That's very, very safe. But there's also some safe insect sprays that you can use also, or citronella, or, whatever works in your area. I know mosquitoes are pretty canny little critters. They can become accustomed to a lot of things. Same thing with ticks and fleas.
And when you remove a tick, do be careful yourself.
Don't get the blood on you, especially if you've got a wound on your finger.
There are transmittable to
Oh,
humans.
definitely.
I think we may not have mentioned plastic gloves earlier when talking about a first aid kit.
No?
But it's a nice thing to have on when you are removing a tick.
Yeah, sure. So, we've gone over a lot, not to give you a short course in first aid, but just to tell a little bit about what is involved in the American Red Cross Emergency Pet First Aid course. A lot of dog trainers offer the course. Local Red Cross chapters offer it. Take a look at it. Go up to the American Red Cross website. See if you can find someone that teaches it in your area. It's usually very reasonably priced. You get a DVD and a book with the course.
You can purchase the book and DVD without taking the class, but it's really, really great to go. And the class is just 4 hours.
Yeah.
Well, and the books are dog first aid and cat first aid.
Right.
So there's two, one for each.
So take a look at it. We strongly believe in it. We teach it here at least once a quarter.
We've practiced it in real life emergency situations.
Especially Petra.
Yeah.
Some of us more than others.
So take a look at the Red Cross website and hopefully sign up for it. It's a good course. And no, we're not being endorsed by the Red Cross to do this. We just believe in the course.
I believe in it. All my dogs are alive and well.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood, yes. We're all doing good.
So that's it for us from It's a Doggy Dog World. We're signing off, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Having a rough day? Longing for the dog days of summer? Think your fun furry friend lives a dog's life? Well, find out everything you're begging to know as Pet Life Radio presents It's a Doggy Dog World with pet expert and award-winning author Liz Palaika. Every dog has his day, and you'll find out how to make your dog's day fun and rewarding. Every week, on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.